I'm going to turn this into this in 27 minutes or less. Will I finish in time, or will I have to hit the turbo button? You can paint along with me or just relax and watch. I'm Gina Murrow, the 27-minute artist. Potters Marsh is one of my favorite places, just 5 minutes from my home in Anchorage, Alaska. It's home to ducks, geese, swans, cranes, moose, spawning salmon, and the occasional bear. We're going to paint it imitating the style of Vincent Van Gogh. I used about 15 different colors in this painting. Interesting fact, family legend has it that my husband is a distant relative of Van Gogh. And we named our vehicle Van Gogh. Here's your supply list if you want to paint along. I'm using soft pastels, the kind people think are chalk. This painting would also work with oil pastels if that's what you have. Why black paper? We're using a dark background to give depth to the painting and make the colors pop. The darker, the better. You'll notice as I start that it looks like I cheated a start before the camera was rolling. The reality, we had a technical glitch 1 minute into starting filming. Rather than waste a perfectly good piece of pastel paper, I simply restarted the camera and pretended to draw from the beginning. I'm going to try to finish with a minute to go to make up for the 1 minute pastel you already see on the paper. Now, let's head down to my studio and have some fun. All right, the timer is rolling. Let's get going. We'll start with the dark to mark off the areas that kind of give us the shape of the picture. And could use black, but instead of using black, I think I'd rather use Terry Ludwig's Eggplant. This is every pastelist's favorite dark. And if you will look at it, it looks black on the camera, but it's actually a deep, deep purple. Okay, so we'll first figure out where we want that horizon line. And then we'll have the creek come around here. And if I make a mistake and put it, no, I don't quite want it, I don't have to erase, I'll cover that up with another color. And I use the side of my pastel to kind of block in these mountains that are right around Anchorage. Just lightly, just get that dark in. I see a tiny bit of dark here where that creek feeds into the bigger creek. Okay, that's close enough for now. Oh, I wanted to put in the little paths for the ducklings. You can see the little marks in the grass where the ducks push their way through to the bigger creek, where the fish and tasty seaweed was. Good enough. Okay, next, move up to the next darkest color, which would be, in this case, a nice, let's use this grayed out purple here. Yeah, I like that. That's going to go higher up on my mountains. No, the mountains in the picture are not exactly purple. I'm taking some liberties, but I'm doing this to make them look closer than what I'm going to do over here for these snow caps. So now I'll switch colors and go to a lighter blue. Yeah, let me get it clean for you. See that lighter blue? Always clean your pastels before touching them to your paper. Your hands will get dirty, so you want to make sure that you're not transferring that. Now when Van Gogh painted, he was trying to put just marks to indicate where, and he didn't have to fill it all the way in. So that's what we're going to copy. And this blue, I kind of see down here in this part of the creek. So I'm going to make some little smiley faces. The smiley faces give me the feeling of depth. This is looking a little light. So I'm probably going to come in there with a darker blue. So let's put this one down and pick up this blue. I don't know what you'd call that. Colonial blue, maybe? And we're going to put that in just a little bit where we want it darker. I see some darker down here. Again, just little marks, staccatos, cashews, any shape that you can think of that makes sense to you, that's what you want to do. It doesn't have to be perfectly even. In fact, you shouldn't make it perfectly even. You want to have some variety for movement. Do I see this color in the sky? Not really, so we'll hold off. I do see this color. I'll show you. There's my sky color. And this is a very dirty piece of pastel, so I roll it good. Yeah. And the sky is always darker higher up than it is close to the horizon. Now, yes, I put that in kind of solidly, but we're going to cheat a little. It doesn't have to be everyone exactly just a piece. And I think there's a little bit of sky over there. We can put that in. Now taking this softer blue, I'm going to do that down just above the mountains, just lightly. Over there, way in the distance. That's going to give it a little more of the go away look. And I'm going to take this color, which is kind of a greeny blue, and just mark it in that lower sky there. Come down on top of your mountains a bit, because we're going to turn around and take that purple and put those mountains back in. This is a different purple. It'll work. Light. Just little pieces of color plopped together to kind of give you the feeling of mountains. Okay, let's get some of the green in there before we go too much further. I have found this lovely, you would call it sap green if you're a watercolor painter. But this color here is bright, but not so, it doesn't look like a child's primary crayon. And here I'm going to put, the wind was blowing right to left from the way I was looking at the scene. So I'm going to make my strokes like little parentheses going right to left, to look like that sky, like the wind is moving the grass again. To see this black paper is coming in handy. It's giving shadows and depth to the green grass. Hope it's not black grass. In ways that just make it easier. It speeds up my painting. We're all about speed. Okay, we're 7 minutes in. We better speed up a little bit here. I hope I make it. Okay. I also noticed there's plenty of green out here, but I'm going to make the mark smaller because it's farther out. So I want it to look more distant. Shorter parentheses. And yes, I was making those go a different direction. You can go back and forth with your direction just to cause it to have movement. And there's a little bit of this color here. Don't worry about being exact. You can just kind of feel your way through this. The whole point of this is to be fast, loose, and fun. Don't overthink it. Really don't overthink it. You can cover up things that you put there if you don't want them. Okay, this precious green I'm going to save right there. I'm going to take this brighter but bluer green. Let's see if I can get it clean enough where you can see the color. And because it's bluer, it's going to look like it's a little farther away. Keeping my dots, my parentheses, my cashews small, I'm going to mark in this color just right on top of the other color some. Speeding up is helping. Okay, keep it little, keep it little. Don't get too big with your marks when you're doing the far away colors. Let's get this in here. Now I'm kind of making X's. Closer together makes a more solid feel. Farther apart of your parentheses gives it an airier feel, a lighter. And go right over the black, so the black shines through or the purple, as a shadow where the ducks came through. And I'm going to go ahead and take this color all the way to the edge. Again, having fun, not thinking too hard. Look, Ma, not even looking. So you can just relax with this a bit. This is a great exercise for learning to loosen up your paintings. If you are a highly detailed painter, or if you've tried it before, if that's just kind of your personality, this will help you find the balance between getting good details and loosening up your work. Okay? So let's take this color. Now this is a harder pastel. This particular one I believe is a new pastel, NU pastel. It's a brand that makes nice hard little lines. But see how light it is? We're going to put just a little bit in here. This is our focal point. The sun's going to be up here. There's reflection on the water here. The water is going off this direction. I kind of want to keep my lighter colors here to draw my viewer's eye there. But this is also, in smaller amounts, a great way to make it look distant. Teeny tiny marks, little almost staccato dots. Morse code. I mean, if you really wanted to get fancy and you knew Morse code, you could put a message in your picture. Wouldn't that be fun? I don't know Morse code. Now let's add some color. Let's take this nice distant. Whoa! Let's get a clean side. This is a nice rusty color. It is a little saturated and a little bright. So I want to be careful to not put too much of it close up. I mean, too far in the back. But I want it to kind of add some excitement in the back. So this looks a little like elven writing if you're into Tolkien. We can put a few closer up, keeping it towards our focal point. Notice it's right there where all the interest is. We may come back and add more of that. We'll see. Since I want more color, but I want to make it look farther back, I'm going to show you this brown, and we're going to put this warm brown back there. It's more grayed out, less saturated. There's less vibrancy to this color, which as our eye goes away, as our eyes looks at things far away, it's harder for us to see the saturation. They look bluer and cooler, and this takes care of that. Now, always, I'm looking at this and I'm squinting to eliminate some of the details so that I can figure out exactly where it's going. So you look like you can't see, or you're Mr. Magoo, but it's how you see the colors, how you see the painting come together. Okay, let's get some, do I want to do the water or the sky first? 15 seconds, I gotta hurry, gotta make up my mind. Okay. Let's put in some of these rain clouds. Okay, so the day that I had gone out to this and Potters Marsh and taken this picture, it had been a really rainy week, and all of a sudden we got a break in the weather and we could see. And so I grabbed my phone, I just grabbed my phone and ran out to Potters Marsh. It's about 5 minutes from my house in Anchorage. And it's just a lovely favorite spot of mine to go. Close to town, but it still feels wild. Okay, that was a nice mauve. Let's take this, let's try this yellowy white rather than pure white at the moment. Let's see how that does. Yeah, see, if I put that, my sun is gonna be right about here, and I can put these dashes of lighter clouds and still look a bit stormy without going pure white. Now I want to get the tops of my mountains defined. So longer dashes with this color will help that come out. This is, as you can see, a dirty coffee con leche, maybe? Okay, so now I'm going to back up and get a nice lemony yellow. Maybe this yellow would be better. This is almost white. Wipe your hands. There you go. We're going to make the center of our sun. Now, I don't want this to be a really bright yellow. I want this to be kind of a washed out watery yellow because of the day that I'm trying to copy. And then I'm going to move out from that to more of a white. You can't see it very well on the camera, but this white has a tint. Probably looks white to you. There's so many different whites in pastels. Just a white will work fine. You could even use a chalk from the chalkboard. Okay, now if I look at those clouds, there's a lot more clouds in my reference picture than I want to put in this. And I need a softer pastel. See these square wrap pastels? They're much more soft, buttery in texture, and they will give me, see, kind of a more dry brush look. Vincent Van Gogh painted with oils, and I'm just trying to copy the look but using pastels. Why pastels? Because they're my favorite subject, and I had them handy. You could buy a beginner set or just a few. You could buy a warm green, a cool green, a white, a couple of blues, and a dark blue or dark purple, and you could do this painting too. Okay, so we'll come back and work on that cloud a little bit more, but right now we're going to put some stuff in the water. So let's get that water in. Again, we started with the darker color. We went to a bit of a purple. I'm going to, 11 minutes, I must hurry. Okay, this is kind of a, yeah, there we go. Brighter blue, because water reflects. Water's jewel-like. So I'm looking at the patterns in the water, not copying them exactly, but trying to put in some of the darks. And make little smiley faces so it looks like water running over rocks. This little creek is not fast moving. The salmon do come in it, so it's deep enough for salmon to get in. And in fact, certain times of the year you can see this, you can stand on the boardwalk and watch the salmon swimming underneath you. They come in this area and spawn. It's very cool. Never get tired of that. Let's go with this light turquoise color. I'm going to vary the lengths of my smiley faces. I'm just calling them that to help you understand what shape I'm making. It could be any shape you want. It could be a U. It could be dashes. But the point is, don't overwork it. Don't think too hard. You're supposed to be having fun. Are you having fun yet? I am. Now, I don't want to do too many lights over on that part of the creek because it's not the focus. This is. Let's come back in here. I've got, oh, look, I love this color. This is kind of a teal, darker blue-green. And we're going to get some of these shadowy grasses down on the other side of the creek done with that. And I'm making some fast marks. And then I have some here too. This color kind of says, I'm going farther away. So I'm sticking to the edges of the creek and I'm just making teepee shapes or just back and forth triangles. 9 minutes. Paint faster, paint faster. Here's one of the things about painting faster. What it does for me is it keeps me from overworking a painting. So it's not that there's a great thing about speed, other than most of us don't have a full day to devote to a painting. It allows me to put down my first impressions and then trust my impressions and leave them alone. Okay, this is starting to look pretty good. Now with 8 minutes and 8.5 minutes left, we're gonna add in some, I think we need some shadows here. I'm gonna try, actually I'm gonna go back to that teal I just had and put a different shape in for some of the shadows. It's not quite dark enough. So let's deepen it down. I got a dark turquoise here. Let's see if that's better. Well, it's definitely cloudier, more muted, so that helps, but it's still not dark enough. I choose a very dark green. There we go. This is not as dark as the purple, but it's still dark, so it allows me to put in some shapes that look like shadows of the grasses on the side of the bank. And I make sure that this dark gray comes in next to the purple right there. If I get a little too excited, I can go back in and add some of the purple back in. Voila, back it is. Okay. Now, if I step back and kind of look at it, I feel like my sky needs a little bit of life in it. Let's take this is kind of a yellowy white, and using this shape, pointing away, we're kind of radiating out. I'm going to make they're dashes, but they're kind of with a scribble, a back and forth, to give the feeling that the sun is pushing it out. And I think this sun needs a little more of those marks. Okay. Now let's take some of this same color and move it down to the water just a little bit. Paying attention to kind of where I was leading with the lighter colors. This is going to go right in there with the last lighter color. A little bit right here. Don't put too much. Don't get carried away. You can come back and take, let's see, we'll take this soft purple. So that lightens it without going white. Might do a little of that over here. And then go back to our darker, more muted blue to fill in this dark spot. I kind of see that needs a little help. Ooh, I'm liking it, I'm liking it. Okay, so 5 minutes to go. I think now it's the time to add in a bit of details. So I'm going to take this chartreuse. Okay, this is the color that when I was a kid in the 60s I thought was the ugliest thing, but now I like it. This is definitely chartreuse. Keeping this bright, vibrant color closer to my point of interest. A little bit over here, smaller, but it's also part of the interest. Less than 5 minutes. Keep going. Okay, don't overthink it. I'm about to get too much, so you want to stop. But I see this being pale. Go back to my, let's go back to my tried and true. This pretty little sap green that we used at the beginning. This color is just kind of like the workhorse of this picture. It is green, it's warm, but it sort of lets you marry all the colors together. It's the middle child of the greens. The peacemaker. Okay. Oh, we forgot the snow in the mountains. I've got just enough time to put some snow in the mountains. Take a pale blue, clean it off. And you say blue, snow is white, but with the horizon on it, it tends to have a bit of a color especially if it's more glacier-like, and around Anchorage there's plenty of glaciers. See, that helps define them. Now farther out it is going to be more or less white. So for these snow caps out here, well, they're not really snow capped anymore, but they still had some snow in them. The snow's going to be in the valleys, remember, and along the edges. Okay, 3.5 minutes. Is there anything else I want to do? I think that needs a little help. So I'm going to take this, I'm going back to my deep dark purple. Make sure it's clean. There we go, clean side. I'm going to just define that mountain a little bit more. Not much. And then I have this great dark green. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, this will work. This looks a little like the trees. I think it's a little too light. Skip that. We'll go back to the turquoise. This one right there. Very lightly. Stick in a tree line. Not happy with that. So I'll go back to my Federal blue. No, I used purple. Quick. 2 minutes. See, now I'm starting to futz. This is when the speed comes in handy. When you just learn to stop and leave it alone. All right. There it is. 25 minutes to go. I have 2 minutes to go, but I'm not going to touch anymore because I think it's done. And if I kept going, it would mess it up. It needs that freshness, that liveliness. What do you think? Now that we're friends, here are a few things you can do to help me keep the videos coming. Hit the subscribe button below and leave a comment while you're there. Share this video on your social media or share it with a friend. You can go to my website where you'll find more painting tips. And you can buy the paintings I've created in these episodes. You can also see my fine art originals that took me way more than 27 minutes to create. Book me as a guest artist for your next gathering or convention. I do live painting demos and paint-alongs for groups of every size, either in person or via Zoom. Next time on 27 Minute Artist, we're going to meet a puppy who was born with a serious birth defect. He did survive, and one day rescued a young woman. We're going to bring him to life in our next episode. See you next time.